But first, food's expected to take up a bigger share of household budgets next year, and that's according to a new report released this morning.
Beef, chicken, and vegetables all going up, and that means the average family of four will be spending nearly $1,000 more.
This year, food prices rose by 3.4%, with an even higher jump expected next year.
Canada is heading into 2026 with a grocery reality that is reshaping how families think about food, budgeting, and survival. For millions of households across the country, the grocery store has become a place of constant calculation where shoppers second-guess each item, compare brands more carefully, and wonder how much higher prices can climb before something finally gives. According to the latest food price report, a collaborative study from Canadian universities, food inflation is not slowing down. In fact, it's expected to accelerate.
Now, even the quantity of food as well, I have to cut a little bit, to have the quality. So you have to cut it because, yes, it's just so expensive.
Families are bracing for an additional $994 in food expenses next year, pushing the annual grocery bill for a family of four to well over $17,500. And this increase is not coming from one source. It is the product of a complex combination of global trade friction, climate extremes, supply bottlenecks, and Canada's own limitations in food production. Economists warn that food inflation will likely outpace overall inflation again, sitting between 4 and 6%. That means even if the broader economy cools, food prices could continue climbing quietly, eating away at savings in a way Canadians can feel but cannot avoid. At the checkout counter, these numbers translate into tough choices, less variety, fewer treats, and more stress.
Everything, especially the meat, beef, that sort of thing. So I kind of stay away from that.
One of the biggest areas of pressure is the meat counter. Beef prices have already surged this year, and the worst may not be over. Canada's cattle herd is shrinking, reaching its smallest level in nearly 4 decades. Farmers are dealing with expensive feed, prolonged droughts, and rising operational costs. Processing plants, which are crucial in bringing beef to market, are struggling with equipment, labor, and energy expenses of their own. Every step in the chain adds a small cost, but once those small costs blend together, they turn into the large increases Canadians now see on store shelves. This shortage in beef supply has triggered a domino effect.
People are so shocked they pivot towards chicken and pork. We're also expecting prices for both chicken and pork to increase as well.
As beef becomes less affordable, consumers pivot to chicken. But when millions of shoppers choose the same alternative at the same time, the price of that alternative rises too. Whole chicken prices are up more than 20%. And chicken long, viewed as the most economical protein, is now becoming another stress point for families trying to stretch their dollars across the week. Protein has quietly become the biggest financial burden at the grocery store. Experts say nearly 40% of grocery spending now goes to meat, chicken, fish, and other protein sources. For many families, this feels like a squeeze with no escape, because protein isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Trade tensions earlier in the year also added fuel to the fire. When the United States imposed tariffs on hundreds of agricultural products, including a heavy 50% duty on coffee from Brazil, global markets reacted instantly. Products that travel through U.S. ports or rely on U.S. distribution networks were suddenly more expensive, and consumers felt the effect whether they realized the connection or not. While the US and Canada eventually rolled back most of these tariffs, international supply chains do not adjust overnight. Items with long shelf life like coffee, cocoa, and tea may take months before lower costs reach the store aisle. Anything grown in fields, however, reacts faster. That's why vegetables and fruits briefly saw a small decline in price earlier this year, but experts caution that this relief is temporary. In 2026, fruit prices could increase up to 3%, while vegetables may rise as much as 5%. Behind all of these challenges lies an even larger force: climate change. Weather patterns are becoming harder to predict, seasons are shifting, and extreme events are striking more frequently. Droughts in Canada, wildfires in California, heat waves in Europe, and flooding in South America all disrupt the production of food that Canadians rely on. Items like strawberries, carrots, coffee beans, squash, oranges, cocoa, and tea have all been affected this year. When any major growing region struggles, it tightens the supply for the entire world, and Canadians feel it in their grocery bills.